All right, all right. It's Real Estate Radio, and we're back with another episode, and the smiling face across the window there is Miss Tami Bonnell. Tami, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I've tried for a while, and we talked about all different things before we get on this call, all these things we could have covered. And for me, Tami, we've known each other almost 20 years. Brian Wildemuth and I met you back in early 2000s, and with Steve Morris as well, just talking about the product at the time, Sharper Agent. And we joked about it because it was so gosh darn easy. We were all so confused why people weren't embracing it and using it all the time. And I'm going to get to that when we get to the heart of this conversation. But since I have this radio background, Miss Tami, we start with music because I think everyone loves music for the most part.
That's
and
true.
I know I go back to the 70s, Donnie and Marie, the little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. And we'll start with that. So Tami, a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, and then I'll take it a step further after you give me that answer.
After I give you that answer of a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll?
Right, preference for you.
Probably a little more rock and roll.
Okay. But now we're going to that deserted island, and you can only take one CD, MP3, 8-track, cassette, whatever you want to call it. Only one, no greatest hits.
Aerosmith.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a
I'm from
particular...
Boston.
Well, yeah,
so
sure.
Giles Band and Aerosmith is from here, and so that's what I grew up. That's what I grew up listening to.
Well, so do you have a particular song that's kind of your go-to celebration song, or is it more of just liking Aerosmith as your band?
I actually like just about everything that they've done.
It's a great career. It's a great band, and no one screams like Steven Tyler. So I feel like when you have to celebrate, Steven Tyler is a great growl to get out there. So there's no doubt. So I appreciate that. Music for me, when I think of Boston, I think of Massachusetts, I think of my band U2, a little bit of that the Irish connection, if you will, and the whole.
Well, I'm Irish.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So
I like U2, but I grew up around the J. Giles Band, and
Freeze Frame, Centerfold, yes.
Yeah. And I actually met Jay Giles. So
really?
Yeah.
Like at one of the shows or a conference kind of thing, or?
That's a long story.
But as a cup of coffee, cocktail, glass of wine kind of conversation.
Probably a glass of wine kind of chat.
All right on. Well, I'm really interested now, Tami. I can't wait for conferences to start again. When is that going to happen? Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. That's really cool. Because I think that in itself, finding out folks that people have met, not that I'm a fan guy, but in general, I do. I was a kid. I was like writing folks for autographs. Dave Cowan's the center of the Celtics. I wrote him a note. He sent me an autograph. I thought, I kind of like that. But I don't know why. But I do like the stories when people meet someone that they're excited to meet and the passion around that, because I think that's pretty cool.
I actually had the opportunity to meet Rhett Auerbach and Larry Bird.
So Tami, my wife says I make this show too much about me, so I have to be careful. I was Rhett Auerbach's personal go-to guy for 2 summers at the Celtics training camp in Millbrook.
Wow. I actually met him in a lobby of a hotel. And I was completely I couldn't even talk,
right.
Like everything that came out of my mouth. My oldest son, we were playing basketball every morning at 6:00 in the morning. And he was a huge fan, and I spit it all out of my mouth, and it sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher, I think, by the time I got talking. But thankfully, he sat down with me for a few minutes, talked to me, gave me a little bit of advice, and did sign an autograph. So that was really neat. And
I think it's just such a small world, though, Tami. I mean, I know we're kind of close to each other geographically, but wow.
And I met Larry Bird face to face on a dare. So.
Really? Oh, you see, we definitely got. I'm going to drive up this weekend. My wife and I will come up. We're going to go out for coffee, dinner, whatever it is. Because Larry Bird, by the way, I went to when that training camp. It's a rookie training camp, and so the veterans. Larry was there. Robert Parrish. I played backgammon with Larry Bird and Robert Parrish.
Wow.
Just sitting in the counselor room because I was kind of a counselor. I was like one of the better players in the camp, so they let the 2 top players stay for the Celtics rookie camp. So all these rookies coming in, and Larry Bird up there, and Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale. And the story goes, don't know if this is an urban legend, but Larry and Kevin McHale went into town one night and got a little bit of trouble, and they were gone the next day. We didn't see them the next day. So I have no idea what happened there, but oh my goodness, that was fun. That's really great. I mean, obviously, it makes sense. Red Auerbach, Massachusetts, all kinds of comes together. But that man was just incredible. You know, the
Yeah.
way the world is today, and the stuff that he did to help bring everyone together, I think that gets looked past too. You know, generationally, he's in that kind of generation. Like, you don't know what he was thinking, but in general, I think Red was just a good soul. But for me, that was interesting. Every morning, I had to get Friendly's hot dog and a big thing of pills and his orange juice. That's how Red started his day. Oh, and
Wow.
the stogie too, of course. All right,
That's
so now
cool.
we got that's awesome. I see, honey. I'm sorry, it was a good topic. So let's get into it, Tami, because I love what you've done with the business. I'm really excited. You talk about, you know, breaking records, going back to when you were selling franchises for Remax, starting up Exit with Steve. That whole last 20 years for you must have been incredible. Just proud of yourself. You know, where you feel good about being such a powerful woman in our business. And I love the fact, because I'm very I'm so pro women. I don't know how to say it the right way. From day one, I mean, I was kind of a mama's boy. Maybe that's part of the why. But for me, I just love everything that's happening, where we're really getting some attention on some things that really need to get some attention on them. And so for you, looking at our industry of real estate, I just think it's incredible the development that you've done. But when you really focus on anything and trying to help agents in the field, one of the things that I love that Exit did was embrace my buddy and friend, Annette Anthony, to bring Annette on to really help with the engagement. Because we talked about how Brian and I had a product called Sharper Agent that was embraced by Exit. Exit made the promo shop. So you white labeled Sharper Agent, which was really cool. So we focused on ease of use, but no matter how easy it is, and you can lead them to the water, get them to drink the water, but not necessarily. So Annette came on to really help with engagement. And when that happened, I was like, oh, there's no one better. There really isn't. So with a little bit of pride, I'm sure, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the engagement part, how training is clicking buttons, but more about why you're clicking those buttons.
You know, actually, one of the best days was I flew out to Arizona, and I knew that Annette was working for a company that had been sold a couple of times. And I thought, this is probably some extreme ups and downs, and maybe this is the perfect opportunity for us to get her on board. And so I flew out to Arizona. I was going to speak there. I asked her to meet me for breakfast. And we ended up talking so many times from Friday until Monday. And then I had a conference call with her and her husband, and we agreed to have her come on. My favorite quote from Tony Robbins is, information without implementation equals poverty. And the biggest thing that we have in this business, merging tech with real estate, merging technology with relationships, is implementation. Everybody buys, it's, you know, you go to an education program, you buy whatever it is, you buy the books, you buy the CDs, you buy whatever it is that's coming out right now, right? And then they're still in the plastic on your credenza or in the closet a year, 2 years down the road. And so we have really simple, user-friendly tools at Exit. It's one entry, simple, user-friendly, because it's all about the human behind the device, not the device itself.
Okay.
But if you can't get them to utilize the device so that they can connect with more people more often, and that they can stay top of mind in front of those people, it's not going to have any value. So she teaches through individual offices, through entire regions. She does webinars and techinars. So she's engaging them and getting them to do it. And here's the biggest key. She actually sits down with the brokers in the morning when she comes out live. She sits down with the brokers in the morning, and they bring their tablet, their laptop, their phone, so that they're actually applying it while they're learning. And then in the afternoon, the agents come in, because we found a lot of times with brokers, if they don't know how to do it, they're never going to pass it on, because they're too fearful and they don't want to look like they don't know something. So they just don't bring it up. But if we teach them first in the beginning of the day, in the afternoon, they're actually helping the agents walking around. And so there's a different confidence level. And it has definitely raised the amount of engagement. It's raised the amount of implementation. And that's definitely what we wanted. Just set people at ease and make them comfortable that it's just a tablet, it's just a phone, it's just a computer, whatever it is. But she really broke it down into simple numbers for them to be able to understand. I always know when she's teaching, because I will get a message. Either they're using my text code, or they're messaging me, or they're sending me an email, and they'll say, I get it. And it's instantly, I get it. I know what the value of my database is now. And most people don't want to put that effort into it. But, you know, you sit down for a little bit of time every single week and put all these people into a database and then get something automated so that you're top of mind awareness. And yes, you should reach out personally in between and all that, but you never know when somebody's going to move because they move because of their circumstances. And but this got the people to actually sit down and say, okay, if I sit down and I input everybody that I have right now, and then I just stay steadily doing this, this is what the dollar return is going to be. And I don't think that they connected the two as strongly when they saw those actual facts. And then when she actually sat down and showed them how simple it was, that it isn't a really tough thing. And if you are literally that kind of busy or then and you have an assistant, then let's have your assistant do it, but you should know how. And it's really increased the engagement incredibly. I think that's the problem for it doesn't matter what brand or where, it's the implementation that's where the problem lies.
Yeah, and that's without a doubt, because you look at the ROI for brokers for the last 20 years, and I say this tongue in cheek about CRMs, can't recoup money spent. And, well, and everyone, by the way, Tami, everyone has that kind of chuckle, but then like, yeah, that really stinks. From 2000 to 2010, all the CRMs that we bought. So
Yeah.
for the implementation to happen, they have to know the why. And for Annette to share statistically why you need to do this, and now I'm going to do it. I'm going to get that part done so I can go back out in the field and shake hands and hopefully get some hugs again and shake hands again, whatever that means. But the idea that agents in general don't like to do the data work. And I don't mind hearing that because that means there were people. And I'm not saying data people are not people, but I've not found really good techie guys that understand relationships as well as the folks that just want to get out there and, hug the babies and shake hands.
Yep. You know what? I think it's also really important to embrace who you are. I always tell people I have a tattoo on my back from losing a bet. I'm giving you too much information today.
John does that, unfortunately.
It actually says, be true to yourself and you'll be able to lead others. It's from The Last Samurai. And the truth is that it's important to embrace who you really are as a person. So if I'm a numbers person, I want to embrace that. And I want to make sure I spend time with investors, right? Because I can show them how to get a return on investment. If I'm a people person, I need to make sure that I'm connecting with people as much as humanly possible. But I can actually be a detail person or a strategic person and be more of a, C personality, more of an accountant kind of personality. And I can still do a tremendous amount of business. I just have to share with you why I'm going to be able to help you better than someone else. And so it's really about focusing on where your strengths are and letting that filter through everything that you're doing marketing wise. And then obviously maximizing. If you're going to use a CRM tool and you're going to be sending out things regularly, it's still a good idea to pick up the phone. It's still a good idea to embrace social media. It's a good thing to do everything full circle, but you've got to be able to be true to yourself because you won't stick with something that doesn't fit your lane. You're never going to stick with it if it doesn't fit who you are and what it is you think you should be representing.
Right, and that kind of touches on the the idea for Sharper and the promo shop. We had the email campaigns, direct mail campaigns, but one thing that was missing was the activity reminder, reminding the agent that a campaign is going on. And that was a big change for Sharp when we finally got that third component. So email, direct mail. Oh, and don't forget, the campaign's going on, John. And I thought that was so important because I remember an agent telling me I had an auto birthday card going out to somebody and they saw me in town and they're like, hey, John, thanks so much for the card. And I was like, hey, you.
Yeah, it is so important. I'll get a text from somebody and that's a phone number and it's not somebody you text regularly and they'll say, thanks for the birthday card. Right. And so it's really important to know what it is and how you're sending it out so that you don't forget any of those details. That was a really great add-on.
Well, you got to keep track of that stuff because automation is wonderful, but you need to be a part of it. You need to be involved in it. And I love the idea we can automate stuff for agents. I think it's great, but I make sure that once a quarter, whatever it is, we pick up the phone, like you said, and get a real personal touch. And when we can, do some door knocking and stop bys because we're all Buffini fans in a way. If you're a good realtor, I don't care what anyone says about all these coaches. They're all great. And you should be a little piece of probably every coach. But right. The oh, by the way, is the referral thing that Brian does, I think is really cool. So that Brian Wildermuth went and worked for Buffini really made sense, right? So it's just awesome to hear that Annette is doing so well. And I love seeing her posts on Facebook. So I love your team. I haven't talked to Steve forever, but the growth for you guys, phenomenal. Just big time congratulations. I think it's a wonderful brand. And to think of those, 300-400 agents and now tens and tens of thousands, it's just must make you feel pretty darn good. but combined with that, feel really good that these folks are getting help from someone like AA, you know, and that to me is just a gem. So this is kind of get to know Tami with a little bit of Annette thrown in.
Yeah, we have a terrific leadership team.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's go to the bucket list real quick. And this is fun for me, kind of in a way, because I still change my bucket list every now and then and do some add-ons. And I found that, you know, John Reinhardt, Fillmore, John's was, now he's at, where John? John's somewhere. Oh, John's at EXP now. So John was talking about, hey, you know what? I want to touch a rhino. I want to go out in the wild and actually touch a rhino, because John Reinhardt's nickname, didn't know that, was Rhino back in college. So I thought that's kind of cool. It's more about, I think, destinations, Tami, for these bucket lists, but do you have anything that you're really kind of focused on, hoping it, you know, happens aside from meeting Jay Giles and Steven Tyler?
Well, I on my bucket list for sure is Ireland.
So you've never been?
I've never been to Ireland. No, I've been to other countries, but I've not been to Ireland. So definitely Ireland, Egypt. Philanthropy on a much larger scale. I consider myself a mini philanthropist today, so I want to do that on a much larger scale. But I think the biggest thing for me, and I write a journal every morning, and it's a 5-minute journal. And one of the things is, you know, what would make today exceptional, and then what made today exceptional. And it's kind of funny, especially since COVID, experiencing something new is on my list every single day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Why? Because everyone's kind of thinking that now too. You know, everyone's like, I've seen a lot of posts like, what have you done today that's different? What have you done that might be a little bit different from what you were doing? And with that, what have you done differently that you're going to keep doing post-COVID? And everyone keeps saying post-COVID. I don't know if that'll actually be a moment in time or not. You know, this is a big moment in time, going back to wherever, February, March, right, till now, and into December and into January next. Who knows? But underneath it all, Tami, I see you doing these videos as a leader of a company, to be so diligent getting those done, because I do them. They're not always easy to do. You think about the night before, so I got to do one tomorrow, but then you do it, Tami. And having that genuine authenticity, nothing can beat that in my book. So thank you for being you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your bucket list, because now we can go to Dublin. I haven't been, and I got Bonnell all over my wall and Irish in me, and I'm kind of, what do they call it? It's like I get a little bit of everyone, it seems like. But for me, that's a trip. And think about it, it's just across the pond, as they say. What is the flight to Ireland? Like 7 hours tops, 6 hours?
Yeah, I think it's 7 or 8 hours from where I am. Yeah.
All right, so we'll see who gets there first.
That'll be terrific.
Tami, just as expected, and as a Real Estate Radio, we always like to end with good day.
Have a great day.